Hey everyone, this is Chris and Sandy Bent with the Chris and Sandy Show, where we get up close and personal with some amazing guests throughout the entertainment industry. And today, like I always say on every episode, we've got a great show for you. We got Collin Raye coming on. He's done some great things in the past, and I think he's doing some great things in the future. As they always say, the best is yet to come.
Oh, yeah.
And I believe with Collin Raye, we're going to see that.
Okay.
The best is yet to come. So how are you doing today?
Thank you for that nice introduction. It's very good to be talking to you. I'm doing good, feeling pretty good, and just ready to get back to work.
Oh, wow.
We understand that. Yes.
And before we really get started, we had Lee Bryce on yesterday.
Yes,
and
we did.
he wanted us to tell you that his very first song that he learned was "Love Me."
Yes.
Lee said that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that's very nice.
Us to tell you that.
Because when we were talking with him, yesterday, we told him you're coming on today. He go, "Well, you got to tell him this."
We're like, we'll tell him.
I bet he sang it really well too.
I'm sure he did. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that makes me feel really good. So you guys talked to me yesterday?
Yeah, yesterday.
Yesterday.
So as you know,
and tell him I said thank you.
We will. Absolutely.
So as you know, this is a weird year this year, and hopefully next year I don't have to start the show out this way. But this year I do. So how has COVID affected you, and what are you doing to maneuver through that?
Well, when I'm home, I've tried to live like I normally live. I'm just, I definitely have, I'm respectful of people's wishes and the guidelines and whatnot, but for the most part, I just kind of refuse to just stay in my house. I'm still going to get on out and live. But obviously the biggest effect for me has been the loss of work this past year. I mean,
right.
Like every artist. I mean, we lost like 80, 85 dates or so this year.
Oh,
that
wow.
was and but it's all good, and we have been able to do a few shows along the way just to kind of not get too rusty. We were lucky enough to have 4 concerts that didn't get canceled in October, so that was a pretty good month.
Wow.
But prior to that, it was like 1 in August, 1 in June, or something, and usually those were private events that they just went ahead and went forward with.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I miss it. Oh, I miss it, and I think it's made all of us, and by that I mean all of my contemporaries, all my colleagues out there like me, has made us appreciate even more than we already did what a cool job we have.
Yes.
You get to where I was talking to Terry Clark earlier about this, and we were going on and on about, you do something for so long, you never complain. You always love the show. Once the downbeat starts and the lights go down and bam, that's always awesome. But you do get to where you complain about the travel. We don't get paid for playing. We get paid for traveling.
That's it.
The older you get, it starts to take more of a toll on your body and your mind, traveling. But I'll never complain about traveling ever again, because
after this year,
you don't really know. You don't really miss what you have until it's gone. And
that's so true.
True statement, And so I think all of us are so anxious, and I've always felt lucky. I've always felt blessed, but now more so than ever, because I realized, wow, I turned 60 years old in August, and I can still sing all my songs. I can still hit all the same.
Oh, awesome!
I look a lot different, but I still sound the same and can still do my job, and people still enjoy hearing these songs, so what a blessing that is. So truly, we can't wait to get back to work.
And and for us, we launched the show January 3rd, having no idea what we're doing. And our original plan was like 100 interviews our first year. We thought if we could do 100 interviews, we'd be ahead of the crowd. I don't know too many hosts that can say they interviewed 100 people the first year. And then COVID happens. And I told Sandy, I was like, this could be our year to shine, because artists like you is going to need a place to talk, and we're going to give it to them.
Sure.
And because of that, you're, I think, interview number 276.
That's right. 276.
Wow. You guys have been busy.
so,
Yeah.
so now the new goal is 300.
Yes.
I think you'll make it there's still plenty of time. I think there's time
There
to
is.
going. But the thing is you have to find the silver lining. There's always a silver lining in anything if you just look for it.
Yeah.
So true.
Yeah. So like I said, because of this, it probably has established you guys in a way stronger. Like you said, doing 100 a year is great, but boy, if you get 300, that's pretty major. That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot of interviews, you know.
Yeah, we're planning on writing after January 3rd, which is the year
Yes.
anniversary, writing a ebook on doing over 300 shows our first year. But I think that people would want to know how you did 300 podcast shows.
Yeah.
That's a lot. And so there's
And we have an 8-year-old.
And we have an 8-year-old that is
And
part of every show.
And a 20-month-old.
Oh, that's awesome. That is awesome. Well, I'm glad to be number 276.
So tell us about Scars.
Yes.
Well, the album came to be BFD Audium record label approached me about doing a Americana record.
Mhm.
Okay.
That was kind of intriguing to me because the more I've learned about the Americana movement, so to speak, you know, I like the artists from different genres that were sort of meshing together in this, and I thought, well, there's no real definition of it.
Mhm.
You know, it's kind of country, it's kind of folk, it's kind of bluegrass, it's kind of rock and roll, and
A little bit all in one.
all those things, and so this sounds like a fun project, you know. And so where it really took a turn for the better too is when I decided on my producer David Ferguson. We were having our first because he had made a lot of Americana records, and I wanted someone from that world who could kind of help me and direct me, you know. And so we were having our first song meeting, and about halfway through the dinner, he just goes, you know, I only want to record songs you wrote. And I'm like,
Oh,
wow. And I've always been a writer, but over the years, the last few years especially, I got to where I just kind of stopped writing because there was no point in it. You know, you get to a point where you go, okay, I am a performer. I am a country star from the 90s, and I work my tail off, thankfully getting to sing Little Red Rodeo, and That's My Story, and One Boy, One Girl, and Little Rock, all those songs. And you kind of go, well, this is what I do. This is going to be my thing from here on out. And so I just kind of stopped writing because when I do write, and this goes back a long way, I love lyrics. I love the written word, and I love poetry and song, and I really am only interested in writing that way. And back in the 90s, I would write with people, and I would come up with a line that I thought was just outstanding. Like you know, I was always shooting for Christopherson. Not that I could, but you want to shoot for that.
Yeah. Of course.
He's the best, you know, or early Merle Haggard, you know, like
oh yes.
You know, Mama's Hungry Eyes, you know, one of my favorite verses of all time. You know, a canvas-covered cabin in a crowded labor camp, stand out in this memory I revive, because my daddy raised a family there with 2 hard-working hands and tried to feed my mama's hungry eyes. It's like, that's like Shakespeare, you know.
It is.
And so to me, the only kind of songs I wanted to write like that.
Mm-hmm.
And when we were writing for country radio in the 90s, you couldn't go that deep. Now we had some pretty deep songs we recorded, but there was definitely a wall on each side that you couldn't get too far out of bounds, you know, and that's just too deep. That's just too deep. So anyway, this album came about, and so I thought, well, here's a chance for me to see if I can still write, you know, and kind of rediscover that part of my brain. And it was a challenge, but it didn't take long, and the light went on, and we came up with some really great songs. And my goal was no subject matter is off limits.
Oh wow!
No musical style is off limits.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
Fun. That was so fun. And so I wound up writing by myself or co-writing every song on the album except 2 songs that my brother wrote. The title song, Scars.
Okay.
Another song called Ghost Story. And it's kind of a Roy Orbison kind of eerie vibe. And so I've always loved those songs. So it was a real personal record. My brother was involved in the album, and was a real full circle moment for me, because we, you know, obviously started playing music together. He taught me how to play guitar,
Yeah.
how to play bass, and he and my mom taught me how to sing harmony and stuff. So I mean, we've been playing music since we were kids. But then in our 20s, we kind of went separate. He was kind of hard to get along with at that time, to put it mildly. And so the band we had kind of more followed me, the more so than him. And next thing you know, we split up. We didn't play music together anymore. And then so it was really cool to have him involved in this, because he's had some health problems in recent years with his heart and whatnot. And especially at the end of 2019, we almost lost him. And so I thought, we need to have him on this record, and not just a couple of his songs, but we wrote some other songs together for the album. And that felt so good to get to do that again. And because that's what we used to try to do when we were kids. And we wrote a bunch of crap. You know, like I heard Glenn Fry say one time of the Eagles, God rest his soul, Glenn Fry had said, he says, well, when you start writing songs, the first 200 you write are going to be awful. But eventually you kind of figure out how to do it, Yeah. And so we certainly had our share of awful, but we were always trying, So anyway, it felt really good to have him involved in this. And the fact that Miranda Lambert's on the song Scars with me is because of my brother, because Scotty was Miranda's original band when Miranda was like 17.
Oh, wow.
And I've known her since then. He was. I remember him saying, "Oh, there's this girl from Lindale I'm working with. You need to come see us in Dallas." And he would, they'd show up at these songwriter listening room things, and it would just be Miranda and Scotty, And so, and then the rest is history, so to speak,
Yes.
But she had loved the song Scars, because he wrote this song. Scotty wrote this 17, 18 years ago. For when he was writing for my publishing company, he wrote it for me to record. And at the time, I was still on Sony, and the A&R people were like, this song's just too deep, Collin. Here you guys go again. It's just too sad. It's too sad. And I'm like, it's too heavy. It's like, well, this is country music. That's okay, right? It's supposed to. So we wound up just putting it on a shelf. But I've always believed that timing is everything.
Yep,
it is.
The timing for Scars is right now, and. It came even though we recorded this album, we were mostly pretty much done with the album by the time the pandemic started. I never would have guessed that the lyrics
seemed fitting.
Yes, would have had so much relevance to people that have been hurting so much this year, And so Miranda was kind enough to come in and put a vocal down on it. She always loved the song, threatened to record it a couple of times.
Oh, wow.
She would tell Scotty, she goes, well, because I've heard her do it live, and she sang it great, of course. But she told Scotty, she was like, well, I just don't know if I'm old enough to sing this song, because it's the song's about someone looking back on their life, emotional scars you've developed along the way, learning to embrace them,
Yeah.
And, so she didn't feel like she was old enough, So that worked out good for me, because I got to cut it. And then she came in and sang harmony with me on it, and it was just magnificent. So that really blessed not just that song, it blessed anointed the whole record,
And people don't realize this. Like when you look at married couples, a lot of times when they argue, they're arguing from their past emotional scars. They're not arguing from their current circumstance. Almost every time their past experiences, their past pain, but they don't see that.
No, and we all do that. It's so easy to fall into that trap, and you think that you're mad at that person, but it could be from something from your childhood or your early, like I said, as old as I am, it could be from any number of eras. And it's just and we also develop bad habits as we go along too. Not I don't just mean the obvious ones.
Yeah.
Right.
But bad emotional habits too, and personality habits, and I'm always trying to catch myself.
Yep,
absolutely.
I shouldn't have said that, or I shouldn't have thought that. And it's we're all a work in progress. We're not done until we die. We're not finished.
Exactly. That's right.
And so I think
yes,
I've just never been one to say, well, there's certain things I'm very comfortable in, and then there's other things I'm uncomfortable in. And so I try to work on the things that I'm uncomfortable in so I can be comfortable there in that aspect as well. But it's a full-time job, I think, for everybody.
Well, most definitely.
Yeah.
Now, one thing I always like to talk on our show that I think is important to talk about that almost nobody talks about. As you know, people see the glory of a Blake Shelton, the glory of a Miranda, of a Carrie, the glory of you, but they don't see the grind, the sacrifice, the tears, the struggles that it takes, not even to get to y'all's level, but even just the career level. And I always want to talk about that. So let's talk about some of the sacrifices and pain you've went through to get to where you are, because I think it's so important for people to hear this side of it.
Yeah, I think so. And it's because by the time you get your shot, I mean, I was 30 years old when I got signed to CBS then before it was even Sony, Epic. And that's still pretty young, but I had been busting it since I was 15. And somebody says, "Oh, wow. You weren't serious about it when you were 15." It's like, "Oh yeah, we were very serious." And it didn't take me long to decide, look, this is the only thing that I think I'm any good at. It seems to come pretty naturally to me. And so, but I even then knew as a kid, I'm not there. I got to. It's going to take me a while, because no matter what talent God gave you, He gives everybody talent. And sadly,
that's true. He does.
So many people never discover what their talent is, and that's a heartbreak. It's heartbreaking. But everybody gets something. And so my brother and I quickly figured out what ours was. And then as I started singing more in the band, we'd be in bands, and I was the bass player, and we backed up a lot of older guys that would have the nightclub gig at this particular club or whatever. So in other words, if you want to work that club, you got to back up this guy. And some of them weren't very good, but I learned something from every one of them.
Wow.
Sometimes it would be backing a guy that was a terrible singer.
Mm-hmm.
We knew this. Why does he have this gig? Why is he the man? Why is it packed all the time? But I watched it and I thought, okay, it's because of what he does, how he talks to the audience, and what he does on break. Because we do 5-6 sets a night, 1 hour set. And one break, he went out there and he was going from table to table, and everybody knew him. And you go, okay, that's why he's here. And that's why. And so. And then other ones is just like I learned that people say, "Oh, thousands of songs." Yeah, because I sang and played on so many bar stages where I just learned stuff from hearing other guys sing it. That's why they just those songs stuck in the head. So even though we had a very clear-cut idea of what we wanted to do, we weren't ready. And it took us a long time to get ready. But I always took it very, very seriously. You have to look at it as a job. It's like, it's almost like there's 2 kinds of people in the world. Those who can play music and those who want to. And it was like,
that's true.
And the ones that want to don't want to do the work.
Exactly. Yes. And I think where we suffer today, it's a kind of a negative thing, is that there's been so many talent shows on TV, like from American Idol.
Oh, yes, there are a lot.
And some great voices have been discovered, no doubt. But every time you turn around, there's another one, and what happens.
And after the show, they still got to work.
Oh yeah. And they're not ready. A lot now. Some, there's the Kelly Clarksons
and the Carrie.
But for every one of them, there's a lot of people who win these shows that they're just not ready, and because they've never been in a band before. They've just done karaoke, or they've just, they just sing, they sit in, they sing, they have 5 songs they know, and they'll sing those same songs. And next thing you know, they're on TV in a singing competition. You go, well, you can tell this person doesn't know what they're doing yet. Doesn't mean they're not talented.
Right.
Just not ready. It's like if you do, so my thing is always like, if you do win this competition and you do get signed to a record deal, are you going to know what to do? Do you know what to do?
That's important.
What's going to make you different? And so that wasn't around when we were coming up, So we did it the hard way, and I'm so thankful we did it the hard way.
Yeah.
We played joints that were just joints. I mean, they were rough places. Places where we were just a bunch of skinny kids, And there was this one place we played. Well, boys, it pays $40 a head a night. We don't have any bouncers. So, and this was the club manager talking. So if there's trouble, I need y'all to come off stage and help me get them out the door. I'm like, what?
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Bounce too? And it was scary because these are some of the, but we wanted to play so bad. We accepted. We took the job, you know, or,
Yeah.
or there were I've seen so many things. I've seen so much of the darker side of humanity when I was very, very young, before I was even old enough to be in those places, you know. But
Yeah.
in those days in North Texas, and it was kind of like if you could see over the bar, you could drink. They'd give you a drink. They just thought, oh yeah, he's a kid, but a couple of these guys in the band aren't old enough, but nobody cares, you know. So it was a different time back then, you know.
Yeah.
But I'm so thankful for it. I mean, I've seen. We played this one place in Oklahoma that we did every weekend, and I'll never forget, his name was Ed Frazier, the owner of the club, and he always wore these coveralls. He was an older fella, and he'd come walking up there like that, and he goes, "The boys, here's the thing. Not if, but when a fight breaks out, when a fight breaks out, I want y'all to stop whatever you're playing and go into Under the Double Eagle and play it as fast as you possibly can. Don't dawdle down, dawdle down." So we'd be sitting there singing, you know, "Sing me back home," the song, and you hear a whiskey bottle. Dawdle down, dawdle down. I mean, it was like something from Gunsmoke or an old Western or something, you know. And then as soon as the fight, they'd get it under control, we'd go right back to the same song we were playing. And there was again, and that was rough. That was rough because I was still in school at that time. So,
wow.
Wow.
We played Tuesday, Friday, Saturday, and it was 70 miles away. Mm-hmm. So we would play the Tuesday, drive all the way back to Texarkana. I'd get in bed about 4:00 and get up at 7 and head to school, you know, in high school and stuff. And so, but we just, the point is, we just wanted to play so bad. We just wanted to play music so bad. There was no gig that was too gross or beneath us. We just wanted to play. And again, people usually didn't like us because in those kind of places, they're not there for a show. They're just there you're just background music to what's going on, you know, and keep them dancing, you know, keep them dancing. And
taught y'all how to handle distractions.
Oh, it sure did. And again, it forced me to learn how to be a front man because I wound up at a very young age. I kind of found myself being the front man of the band because I could, as you see clearly, I don't have a problem talking, but I got to where I could talk to the audience because I learned from these other guys, these older guys. And I saw, okay, I see why they're keeping everything, you know, together by the way they relate to the audience and stuff. And so all those things paid off many years down the road.
Yeah.
You know, and even before we started trying to put a show together, you know, like because we didn't do shows, we did sets. We didn't have a set list. It would just be like we'd get up and start, and I'd go, and I would just call one out. You know, I've always been crazy. Hey, and we just started, and everybody just dives in, and next song I'd be like, okay, you know, whatever. I would just call them out as we went, and so it was very informal, you know. But that helped. It helped me become who I was, and so that by the time I did get around to where I was trying to put a show together to get to play fairs.
And, why God honored you.
Oh, see, that's the one thing that's never left me is I always gave him the glory, even in places where you would think he's not in here. He's there. He's there. He's everywhere you go. Mm-hmm. And I would always try, even in the most roughneck kind of circumstance, I was always aware that he had his hand on the back of my neck, and that's one aspect. I mean, I've still got a long way to go, you know, and I won't get there until I get there. Mm-hmm. But I've always known he protected me in those kind of situations, and it's very simple to me. If you honor him, he will honor you back.
Yeah, and that's funny. It's talking about that because we've been married 18 years, and I remember through the years. That we would be on the street and we would run into people. And I'm not talking running into friends, running into strangers. And if I get 2 minutes in a conversation with that stranger, she would know we're going to be there 60 minutes, almost to the T. And she would sometimes roll her eyes and all that, and she'd be upset.
I'm like, we gotta go.
And I've done that thousands and thousands of times in our 18 years. But now we laugh about it because we look back and we're like, God was preparing us for this show.
Sure.
We had no idea.
Well, he has there's nothing surprises God. You know, he's seen everything that's going to happen from the day of creation to this point. He knows nothing surprises him.
Yeah.
So, you know, this is, if I could leave the listeners with any thought, it's this, you know, during these times like this, where there's so much nonsense and madness going on and stuff like that, you know, just know that he's seen it all coming, and you know, nothing happens without his permission. We don't get another breath or another heartbeat without his permission, you know. It'll all turn out.
True.
It'll all turn out well in the end. He wins in the end.
Yeah, she's gonna go get little Chris because he likes to be.
Yes,
he likes to ask one question to each.
Yes, I'll go get him real quick.
And we got a 20-month-old that when she gets older, we'll be plugging her in the show too, because we are a family affairs show.
Yeah.
So
20 months old. What's her name?
But her name's Caitlin, but our 8-year-old is Christopher, which she's going to get him real quick to come and ask you one question.
Okay.
And so while she's getting him, you can add this, because I always like, you know, a lot of people, they see the artists, but they don't see the PR team, the producers, the managers, and they don't get enough love, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
So if you want to take 1 or 2 minutes and just tell us about the team that helps you be who you are. Well,
they're here with me right now. Dawn Murray Grubbs and Caroline Fields have been my publicists for a number of years now, and I'm not just saying this because they're in the same room with me. There he is right there. That's Dawn.
I hate to do this, but we got to keep on schedule, buddy.
I'm sorry. See, I talk too much. He's always telling me I talk too much, but no, they have done such a great job for me, and best PR people I've ever had, and I've got a good team. Who's this?
Hi, Collin Raye.
Hey, buddy. How you doing today?
Doing good. What's your favorite food?
Oh my goodness. Now, okay, I can't eat this very often anymore because I'm trying to fight you get older. See, I'm warning you. This is what, as you get older, you start getting bigger. And so you have to be more careful about what you eat. But hands down, my favorite food is pizza. I could eat pizza 7 days a week, 3 times a day. But I'm not allowed to do that anymore.
Pizza.
His is pizza too.
His is pizza. Yes.
Oh, how do you not like pizza?
Exactly.
Is she you? Oh, he's awesome. Yeah, you need to get him involved in the show.
That's what we're doing. Every episode he's pretty much been in as this question. And you know, because we try to honor our time, you know, we really enjoyed having you on, and maybe we can have you back for a lot, because our show is normally a 60-minute show.
Oh, yes.
Sure. We'd love to have you back.
I'd love to come back.
And just talk about a lot of stuff.
I'd love to. You guys I love what you're doing, and you're doing it right.
Hi.
Oh, thanks so much.
He's a
Hi.
Well,
all right.
Take care, guys, okay? We'll do it again whenever you say. Just let Dawn know. We'll do it again.
All right.
We
Sounds
will.
good.
Sounds great.
Bye.
Thanks.
God bless
Bye.
you.
Bye.